The year started off on a tragic note for the Calgary Police Service and the death of Sergeant Andrew Harnett. And throughout the year, the service dealt with many of the same issues that Calgarians struggled with: the COVID-19 pandemic and mental health. I spoke with Calgary Police Chief Mark Neufeld about navigating a difficult year that included many people taking to the streets to protest public health orders.
We'd advocated fairly strongly for some additional tools to deal with some of the protests, because protests are complicated environments. I mean, that's people's constitutional right to be able to gather and demonstrate. But again, you have to do it lawfully. And so when you're dealing with public health restrictions that individuals maybe don't agree with, and that's in fact what they're out protesting, the tools for a while were pretty limited. So I think, the public was outraged at times. I think that here, they were locked down, and here's people that are not abiding by the lockdowns and they're out. And the reality of it was protests weren't captured in the public health restrictions. And so those were sort of able to go on as usual, but very frustrating. I think, we advocated very strongly for the use of orders from the Court of Queen's Bench, and also the use of the Public Health Act a little bit differently to gain orders. And I think you would have seen sort of last kind of summer when we were able to work with partners from Alberta Health Services to get those orders. That actually helped us to be able to deal with the issues that we needed to deal with very quickly. And prior to that, the tools were pretty limited.
A recent survey from the CPA showed that morale for staff was low. Can you speak to why maybe perhaps it was its lowest since 2008?
It was a heartbreaking response to the survey, but it was a real one, and I think that's really important. We heard a number of things in this. When you talk about how did we get here, I think this has been an extension of 2020, which was a difficult year. There's no one single lever or one single driver. I can tell you that staffing has been a big issue. As it happens, even before we knew about COVID, there were some things that happened in 2020 and then in 2021 that actually caused an elevated levels of attrition for us. So of course with COVID, we have to apply for exemptions to actually continue to train police officers. And so we're not able to fill in as quick or as fast as we did before. So we end up with a staffing shortage. In addition to that, in the environment that we're in, we have more people than ever accessing psychological supports. It's no different than it is in the public. And so you've got more people off and away, you've got less people there, and you've got huge demands. And that's not just in people's work life, that's in their personal life too. Probably the top three things that people said they needed. One was staffing. The work demands and stuff like that were crushing, so that's a big one that we're working on. The second one was feeling valued. And all the criticism and the public discourse and that sort of thing, members aren't feeling valued. And I guess I get that, because even things that we would do in the past in terms of recognizing contributions and good work, all of those things had been canceled. It's almost like, in effect, all the good things about being a police officer were not going on, and then all the difficult things were exacerbated through all of this. And then, there was a very personal message to me too, in terms of support for our folks. And so I think, this has been a very, very difficult and divisive environment. And, you look to try to find support and try to find ways to navigate that. And I think what I've come to realize in that is that, you can't make everybody happy. And at the end of the day, we really need to support our folks, because if I don't do it, who else is going to do it?
What is that you're looking forward to when it comes to 2022?
We want Calgary to be the safest major city in the country. We've seen some drivers of violent crime. Pharmacy robberies have been one. We've seen an increase in weapons-related calls, 36% actually in 2021. So that's going to be an area of focus in 2022, along with the continued work around the crisis response model. I think that's work that's going to continue to bear fruit. We've got a good start in 2021, but it's work that needs to continue into 2022 as well.
Thank you so much for your time, Chief Neufeld.
Thank you.